Hello and welcome to another Magic 2015 gameplay. Today we are revisiting the green-white tokens deck, and that's because we've added some premium cards and some cards from the expansion to make it a little more interesting. So we sort of abandoned the idea of having 1-drops in the deck, since Elite Vanguard was the only decent option really. So we abandoned the super aggressive plan and instead we're opting for a more mid-rangey but more powerful late game deck. But we still have a lot of tokens, so let's go over all the cards real quick. Starting off with Raise the Alarm, 2 tokens at instant speed, so you can surprise someone and block their creatures, or just have 2 tokens for 2 mana, which is not a bad deal. Then Brimaz, the best 3-drop in the game, also has a lot of tokens that he can get, and they all have Vigilance, so he works very well with the Convoke mechanic, as you can attack and still convoke something out. The Mentor of the Meek is our draw engine in this deck, and it's a pretty powerful one. Whenever we play a creature with 2 or less power, we can pay 1 to draw a card, so whenever a token enters the battlefield we can also use this, so a very powerful card indeed. Then Banisher Priest is our only real removal spell in the deck, and it's attached to a creature, so we also get to draw some cards from Mentor of the Meek if he's in play. Attended Knight is another token generator, a first striker, a 2/2 first striker that gets a soldier token, pretty efficient for its cost, so a solid inclusion. Phantom General is one of our Anthem effects, giving all our tokens +1/+1, and he's a 2/3 himself, so also triggers Mentor of the Meek, so not a bad card. Then we also have to have Baneslayer Angel, just because it's that powerful. It's not super synergistic with the tokens, but it's just a very good card, and there's very few decks in white where I wouldn't run it. Then Triplicate Spirit is arguably one of the best cards in the deck, works very well with all our other token generators, and as it means you can cast this a lot earlier than you're supposed to. And evasive tokens is also a nice addition, as on board stalls they can keep attacking the opponent and plinging away on their life total. Then Jade Mage is a solid 2-drop, a 2/1 for 2, that has some nice applications in the late game, making a lot of tokens. So it's a card that has to be dealt with by the opponent. Then Beastmaster Ascension is the finisher of choice in the game. Once you made a huge board filled with tokens, all you need is a Beastmaster Ascension to swing for a lethal attack. Then Michaeloth is a very nice addition from the expansion, allows you to devour a bunch of tokens and then make even more tokens the turn after, and a turn after, and a turn after, until your board is so huge that the opponent will die to a simple attack. Then Doubling Season is not super broken in this deck, as it will only really double tokens. The only card with counters are Beastmaster Ascension and Michaeloth, but both of those already are pretty powerful on their own and don't really require the help from Doubling Season. But the fact that we double all the tokens we get is pretty powerful, so it's pretty much parallel lives in this deck. But that isn't in the game, so Doubling Season will have to do. We don't have any Planeswalkers to abuse this with, but still a pretty solid card, and it's an interesting idea of return on investment, as if you play it first it doesn't do anything, but later in the game it will have provided a pretty big advantage. Then Selesnya Evangel is another cheap token generator, only uses 1 mana and you have to tap another creature to make a Sepperling token, so not as good as Jade Mage in the late game, but it's a lot more efficient to make tokens, so you can still play your other stuff as well. And then Sigil Blessing is another sweet pump spell from the expansion, gives 1 creature +3 and all the rest +1, so you can use this +3 on the creature that's being blocked perhaps, and then still get in for a lot of damage. So that's the main deck. For lands, I'm using 3 additional dual lands. So we have the 4 Guild Gates, 3 Seaside Citadel, 10 Plains and 7 Forests, because we have a lot more white cards than green cards. So that's the deck. Now let's jump into a game. Alright, let's take a look at our opener. Only 1 land, so we'll have to ship this. And that's 6 lands, so we'll have to ship this as well. Alright, I guess we found a middle ground. Not a great hand, a little on the expensive side, but at least we can cast our spells. And we can lead with a Guildgate. Then next turn we'll probably go for the Evangel. So if we draw a 3rd land, we can go on turn 3, we can play Jade Mage and also use the Evangel in the same turn. Opponent on green-red playing Elvish Visionary. So we have to be keenly aware of a Anger of the Gods, which is this deck's Achilles heel. And we did find a 3rd land, so the Evangel plan is live. We can also block the Visionary, but I expect if our opponent has something like a shock, he'll gladly use it on the Evangel. So all we really want to see is more lands, since we do have the spells to win a late game. Cultivate. So our opponent is trying to go big. 2 forests. And no attack. Alright, so won't be playing the Seaside Citadel, instead we'll go for Jade Mage. And we don't have to make the token right away, since now we can still block and make a token. Not attacking either. And there's an interesting card. 3/4 Defender with protection from zombies. And now we can make our token, tapping the Jade Mage. Alright, so there's our 5th land. And we can also play a Triplicate Spirits. The only problem here is that we might be set up for an Anger of the Gods by the opponent, which just played a 3/4. So that could be a problem. So if you want to play around that, we are a little more conservative. Don't cast the Triplicate Spirits, and instead we can still make a bunch of tokens with our Jade Mage or our Evangel, which I think is fine actually. And we can just say go. And I guess if our opponent does have an Anger of the Gods, he will still use it here. Instead, it's a Meteorite. Targeting, I'm guessing, the Jade Mage. Instead it's the Evangel. So we can do this. Alright, so no Anger. And a Cobbled Wings, giving a creature flying when it's equipped. So I feel like we can play into a Anger of the Gods now if we want to. But instead I'm just gonna play a Doubling Season, so then next turn we can make a huge Michaeloth. Seems like a reasonable play. Opponent hasn't put any pressure on us, so we have some time to set up a more powerful play. Can't attack into the wall. So let's see what our opponent has to offer. 7 mana and another Meteorite. Killing the Jade Mage. So let's hope our opponent ran out of removal spells, so this Michaeloth survives. Only had 1 card before casting Cultivate, so it's pretty likely that he doesn't have a removal spell for it, in which case the Doubling Season is going to be pretty nice. We could go super big and play Triplicate Spirits before the Michaeloth. Huh, nice. Okay, Let's see. Yeah, I think it's fine just running out this guy. And if our opponent doesn't have an answer for it, I'm pretty sure we can win the game. 12/12 is out of range of Ground Assault, which is the only removal spell I can think of in green and red. Pelakka Worm is not a bad card, but it's not as big as a 12/12. And I guess this has 8 counters, so we'll get 16 tokens on our upkeep, thanks to Doubling Season. Which means next turn an attack with a Beastmaster's Ascension in play will be lethal. We can cast a Triplicate Spirits for free using all these tokens. I guess, yeah. Wait. Okay, yes, we need to pay double white. So can't quite get the full discount, but this still works. So can't play the Phantom General, but couldn't attack with our tokens anyways. And there's no need to show our opponent the Beastmaster Ascension. 5, 10, 11. So if our opponent has a shock, he could technically kill the Mycloth. So I guess it's better not to attack and keep him on defense. And let's see if our opponent found an answer. He can equip the Pelakka Worm to give it flying, but 7 damage isn't enough. So maybe if he has a Wrecking Ogre, that could do a lot of damage, although we do have a couple of flyers to block with. Instead, it's no attack. And no equip either. So we'll get some more tokens. And now we can play the Beastmaster Ascension and attack with all the unsummoned or unsummoning sick tokens. And that should be game. Unless your opponent perhaps has a fog. I guess there's no need to attack with all the flyers. Alright, that's approximately 1 million damage. And that's gonna be game. Alright. So let's move on to the next game. Alright, let's take a look at our opener, which seems fine. 2 Raise the Alarm, a Brimaz that we can cast, and a green source, together with Triplicate Spirits, which we'll be able to cast pretty quickly with Raise the Alarm. We can lead with our Tri-land. So this hand is pretty weak to a sweeper like Anger of the Gods, but it's pretty good against a deck that's playing one big creature. So we can just say go with Raise the Alarm up. No need to show our opponent what we're up to right away. Opponent also plays Selesnya Guildgate and follows it up with a Jund colored Tri-land and plays Elixir of Immortality, which usually fits in more controlling decks. So we'll have to try and do a lot of damage quickly. And here I guess we can play the Brimaz. So next turn we can play Triplicate Spirits. And Phantom General is also pretty nice. But I think playing Brimaz before the Phantom General is worth it, as there aren't many removal spells this early that can deal with Brimaz. And our opponent down to 18. If our Brimaz survives, We can attack with him, we'll have 4 creatures in play. Wall of Omens is not gonna kill Brimaz, so that means we get to Triplicate Spirits and also Raise the Alarm, or rather Raise the Alarm and Triplicate Spirits. Doubling Season is also interesting. But let's attack first and then do the math. So we have 2 untapped creatures. I guess we can't play the Triplicate Spirits quite yet unless we hadn't attacked with a soldier. But Raise the Alarm is also fine. Means we will maybe play Doubling Season before Triplicate Spirits. No double red yet, so we don't have to be worried about Anger of the Gods. And I guess we can cast another Raise the Alarm. Alright, so we can play Phantom General. If we attack with Brimaz, we have 3 untapped cat tokens, or cats. So we would have to hold back 3 more soldier tokens in order to play Triplicate Spirits this turn. Let's see, another line is play Raise the Alarm and Triplicate Spirits, because the Raise the Alarm is pretty much free thanks to Triplicate Spirits. And then we can attack with everyone now. And then next turn we can play the Phantom General, which seems fine. So yeah, let's attack. Opponent blocks a cat, but we can still cast our Triplicate Spirits. So unless our opponent has a sweeper, I think we're pretty good. Opponent says oops. I guess he didn't block Brimaz. Yeah, forgot to block Brimaz. Rock's Faithmender will be a little annoying once he cracks the elixir. So let's see, is our opponent dead if we play the Phantom General? Pretty sure he is, because he would negate 1 token, so yeah. GG. And let's send in the clowns. I don't know why this keeps popping up, but yeah, I think that's gonna be game. So I wanna thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this gameplay, and as always, have a nice day.